Don't come up to me afterwards. I told you, I am happily married. However, that's not what I told the lady at the door, though. I told the lady at the door, I said, you know, people ask me all the time, why don't you write poetry no more? I said, well, in high school, middle school, you know, you feel like you're in love, don't you? You know, I mean, like, everybody always say, if I can go back to my first love, and if you're with somebody that you love now, please don't say it at this time. But, she said, why don't you write no more? I said, because you're not supposed to pen hate, you know. And, you know, so when talking to my wife sometimes, you know, we sit there, and a lot of people that know me, they know this woman has been through a lot with me. We ain't gonna say nothing, but anyway, so one day I was telling her, you know, she even told me, she said, if I could just take, pardon me, auntie, but if I could just take your tongue and your dick, I'll let you go. Now, I'm going to assume that's a compliment. You know? So, one day I said to her, you know, yeah, I'm about to, and speaking about big black dicks, I was in my pants and I pressed down like this and she gave me that, you know, I was like, it's not? It's not? Okay. So, mind you, I had one of my white friends took me to a party. I was the only black dude there. Now, mind you, I'm chilling in the cut, just like this, and the guy that they were waiting on got off. And he came in and he was like, I'm sorry I'm late, everybody. He said, I got caught up in my job with this party that came in. It was a 50 all-black people party. Now, I'm sitting there, and you know, just like a dog when somebody comes to the door, you know, and I'm listening, and I said, Wesley, I don't think they know I'm in here. Well, he turned around and he said, don't worry about it, leave it alone. So all of a sudden, they did what, you know, I think most of them do when they're alone. He said, you know, somebody said, what did they order? And the guy started rambling off black food. And I was like, no, I really don't think they know I'm over here. He was like, and everybody, I kid you not, it was like Duck, Duck, Goose. Everybody was like, did they eat watermelon? Did they have chicken? I was like, listen, should I say something? All of a sudden, the guy finally noticed me over there. He apologized. Pleased to meet you. I'm not racist, but... So all of a sudden, the girl sitting there at the party, she turns around and she says, he's not mad about your jokes. He has his big black dick to keep him secure. You know, and I didn't want to jump on it at first because, you know, I mean, like, you know, not all of us have big black dicks. You know, all of a sudden she was like, tell him. Yeah. You know, yeah. I got my big black dick. You know, all of a sudden she kept going on about it. So all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I was just like, everybody drunk. I'm like, in your face! In your face! In your face! You know? And so my guy, he didn't remember nothing the next day, but all he remembered is in your face. Which takes me back to the joke our last comedian said about the ribbon on the big black dick as a ribbon. You know, for some reason, as you were saying that, I was just thinking to myself, you know how kids is when you got them holding them, right? They playing with your earring. I'm just sitting there. I'm sitting there trying not to laugh too hard because I'm just seeing a little girl playing with it. I tend not to try to make jokes about, you know, kids and pornography. However, what I'm about to say next, I'm gonna tell y'all. How many people have ever made the phrase, said the thing? I wish I can go back in time and change some things about myself. Anybody here have said that?
Oh yeah, I like just
okay. What about? Let me ask you. Have anybody ever said if there, you know, there was one thing if they, you know, they wish they could just go back in time? Just period. Just I want to change something that has happened over, you know, the course of history. I want to change. Perhaps play the lottery. I don't know. Well, if I could go back in time, I always said that I would do better in school. I would actually change some things that has stuck with me to this day. And let me see, I was in a foster home, and masturbation is what I'm talking about. And, you know, my cousin, my friends, they tell me, you know, you might want to be careful about some of the stuff that you're going to talk about. I said, well, this is life. And so they said, well, okay. Well, this is what happened. Let me see, when did I start? I got out of the foster home, we about 6 years old. So, you know, so I'm 6 years old, and, you know, I came to live with my grandmother and everything. Well, here I am, 14, 15 years old, and, you know, I remember one day in particular, my best friend showed up. And if it wasn't for my grandma having, you know, talking to my best friend through the door, he would have caught me, as they say, pants down, ass out. Because what I used to do was I used to, you know, get my, like, magazines all laid up. I get my butt shot here, my tit shot here, I have my cooch shot here, you know, and anything that, you know, that I could apply imagination to, I had it out. I had my books, I had my imagination, and I had my toothpaste. And so I was... Toothpaste? Oh, I'm sorry. Like I said, anything that gave me a loop, you know, I use that. And so, all of a sudden, you know, my best friend, he walks in and he says, "Put that book away." And I was like, ain't nobody even doing nothing. You know, well, I told him this story many years later. And he was like, I knew something was up. The zipper was still undone and whatnot. So anyways, I'm telling I got a son that's not really mine, and I'm telling him this story because my wife caught him masturbating on my couch. Which I think I was more upset that he was on my couch than the fact that he was masturbating. But I wanted to talk to him. I said, look, son, there's some things, I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to stop that. That's a habit that's going to continue down to this day. I said, go ahead, ask Daddy when was the last time he did it. He said, when was the last time you did it? I said, 2 days ago. It's one of those habits that, you know, you can't stop. And I'm going to tell you how far I go. Now, I want you to remember this is a comedy show, and this is actually a joke. But, so my wife told me not to tell too many people, but since Gaynell said ain't nobody seeing this. My wife used to say to me, you know, right after having my oldest 14-year-old, she said, you know, I don't know why I can't get this boy to sleep. She, you know, I mean, you know that, what do you call it, postpartum depression? Yeah. So she's, you know, I can't get this boy to sleep. I don't know why he won't go to sleep. I said, you know, I have no problem putting him to sleep. I said, because when me and him can't go to sleep, I said, I just jerk me and him both off and we just all head out. And so I said that one joke at my job one day to some customers. I work at a restaurant. And so I'm telling this joke, and I see 3 people laughing, but one person was kind of like mad. Arms folded and everything. And they go to my boss, told him, because I had to change up. I didn't want to say masturbate, I said beat. And so the lady told my manager that I beat my son. And I thought he was going to write me up, probably, you know, maybe even fire me, depending on the severity of what I said. And, you know, I was like, no, Carl, yeah, I'm sorry. You know, I mean, you know, child abuse is wrong. You know, you don't want to. And so I really had to get over the fact that, you know, I can't tell too many people that joke. They don't understand. And so when I speak about masturbation, I tend not to talk about it, you know, especially using my son as an example. And I always tell people, I say, you know, the funny part about that joke is one day my son going to be old enough to hear it, and he's going to be like, me, Dad? Like, Leviticus, right? You know, it's funny, you know, because you making mention of the balls and the, you know, big balls and dick. I said I wasn't going to talk about my little ones like this, so I'm just going to talk about the one that collects a check. My 5-year-old is autistic, and you know, I remember one day I had to sit my boys down and let them know. I said, look, Demetrius, the baby is autistic. They said there's some things he's never going to be able to do in life. I want you to know that there are some things he's probably never going to have a girlfriend, probably never going to be able to wipe his own butt, you know, so y'all got a job coming up. I said, but just to let you know, I said, y'all know he collects a check for what, you know, going on in his head. They said, yeah. Well, I also want you to know this, that when y'all start seeing him get PlayStation, Game Boy, Xbox, all those things y'all want, remember, he's the only one bringing the check in the house. I will get rid of your mama before I get rid of you. This is over. I'm letting you know that, you know, we're going to fight over him. You know, and my wife said, don't be telling them this. I was like, yes, ma'am. You know, and so I try not to talk about my kids too much, and a lot of times I end up getting on my family. And with that being said, I got a best friend locked up in prison, and I remember, you know, being 15 years old, I got accused, and when I told you at the beginning, I'm not gay. I just play one on TV. You know, that's what they always say before they come out years later. But anyways, so I'm not gay.
They're not.
I'm not gay. However, I remember getting accused of kissing a boy in 6th grade. Now, I'm going to fast forward the story to the part where my dad was outraged, you know. I think you said it again now. My dad, he was, you know, he was like, ain't no son of mine going to be gay. I swear I will break your back if, you know, you're not going to be gay. You don't be taking no dick. That's not right. Well, years later, I found out that one of my cousins, not gay, but he stole $400 from some guy. Because the guy asked him, he said, I'll give you $400, you let me suck your dick. Well, my cousin stole $400 from him. I guess after the guy fell asleep. I said, how hard would that, no pun intended, how hard would that be to explain to a judge that I only took $400 of the $800 you're accusing me of, you know? I'm like, hold on a second, you know? I mean, but I asked the question, who's gay, him or the man who offered, you know? I mean, now, again, I'm not gay. However, my best friend being in prison for umpteen amount of years, my sister was saying, well, you know, it's been 16 years. You know he's taking a dig or two. I'm trying to defend him. I'm like, that's not true. Just because he's been locked down so long, I'm hoping that this will never be me. That's the reason why I'm defending so hard, right? And so I'm like, no, I know me and I know him. He would never do that. Okay, that's fine. Years later, my sister, she decided she wanted to experiment. I call it that now because she's not now, but whatever. So my dad, he was so openly accepting of it, and I didn't appreciate that. So one day I'm telling my best friend, I'm like fighting it, right? You know, I'm like, I don't like that. That's not fair. I said, you know what? My happiness don't count. I mean, I just don't understand. Why is it okay for her, but not for me? You know, and my friend was like, you don't want to fight this cause. You know, let that one go. You know, and I'm like, no, but I guess you're right. Now, see, this is the same friend who one day I asked him to go into Walgreens with me to pick up some hemorrhoidal cream. And we got ready to get out the car, and he thought about it. Hey, I'm not going in there for no hemorrhoidal cream. And I'm like, okay. Okay, and I guess I didn't think about what I was asking. So years later, like I said, we're talking about my best friend locked up, and my dad was like, you know something? I mean, it's possible. How is it possible? He says, well, he said, you better believe I'm locked down 16, 20 years. You better believe I'm doing somebody in their ass, but they're not going to do me. Really? So I had to tell him, when you tell me, ain't no daddy of mine going to be gay. You know, I mean, like, you know, so I just didn't appreciate that. Now, with that being said, I'm going to close by this way. So I got this, I used to write people in prison. I still, you know, got one or two that's still there. And a lot of times when they get out, one of the things that they got to face is restitution. Sometimes the place that they robbed or whoever they hurt or harmed, they have to pay them back. So I told this girl, I said, you know something? I said, bills are going to always be there. And she asked me, she says, where do you get that from? That's pretty insightful. I said, well, got it from a fortune cookie. Yeah, fortune cookie. Oh, I'm sorry. Black Chinese food fortune cookie. You know, she was like, that don't make sense. I said, no, I didn't think so either when I came across it. I said, I'm going to tell you what happened. See, what had happened was, and what anybody would know, that, see, what had happened is, I think black people term that anything after this is a lie. But see, what had happened was, there was this Chinese restaurant, and it caught on fire. And what took place was the Chinese, you know, they said, we've made enough money at this place. How about we just, you know, move on? Entrepreneur, black family, you know, they're thinking to ourselves, you know, that's a lot of money coming into that location. We know we always ate there. Why don't we open it up? But they didn't want to open up another chicken and rib joint like we normally do. So they decided, why don't we just keep it as a Chinese restaurant? Maybe nobody knows. So I remember one day, you know, they turned around and they walked in the basement and there was a whole bunch of boxes down there, but they had a whole bunch of fortune cookies with no fortunes in them. So they like, well, grand opening is next week. We're going to have to come up with something. So they started pinning different things. One of them was, bills are always going to be there. Don't let them stress you. Nice. You know, they was like, what else? What else? And they think and they brainstorm. And they said the second one, they said, if you don't like our Chinese food, you're sure to love our chicken and ribs at our other locations. So then they get to the third fortune and they was like, at least one more. So they, don't eat this cookie. He's been down here for a while and they've been through a fire. If you get sick, we cannot afford to be sued. However, if sued, your lawsuit will go into power with the rest of the bills. Because bills are going to always be there and we don't let them stress us. Everybody, that's my time.